It is the middle of the night. Outside there is an absolute silence. But inside your mind, a storm is raging, a tempest of words, memories, worries, and dreams. Have you ever stopped to wonder? What is this inner voice, this narrator that never falls silent? Who is it? It is an object that can fit between your cupped hands, weighing about 1.5 kilograms, with a soft, gelatinous texture. It is the most complex, most mysterious, and most powerful structure in the known universe. The human brain. It is not merely an organ, it is the architect of our reality. The colors you see, the music you hear, the moment you recall the face of a loved one, all are born within this intricate network. Our fears, our joys, our identity and sense of self, all are its handiwork. In short, everything you have ever experienced is a product of electrical storms firing within this silent darkness. But how? How can a mass of tissue composed of lifeless atoms create conscious experience? How is a thought formed? Where are memories recorded? And how close are we as a species to finally mapping this inner cosmos? On this journey, we will venture to one of science's greatest frontiers, into the depths of our own minds. From the dance of neurons to the secret of consciousness, from the astonishing flexibility of our brain to the technological revolutions that await us in the future. Prepare to explore the universe inside your skull, in an attempt to understand the very source of our existence. Because this story is not just about an organ. This is the story of you. It all begins with a single cell, a cell that looks much like any other in our body, but whose destiny is to form the most complex structure in the universe, the neuron. There are approximately 86 billion neurons in our brain, a number close to the stars in our Milky Way galaxy. Each one is like a small processor in its own right. But the true magic happens when they come together. Neurons are connected to one another by trillions of connection points called synapses. This is a network that defies our imagination. A communication grid far more complex than all the phone calls, all the internet traffic on Earth combined. Every single thought, every memory, every movement is a symphony of tiny electrical signals rushing along this network. When you smell a flower or hear an old song, millions of neurons in specific regions of your brain fire in a fraction of a second, creating a familiar pattern. This is an echo of the past. It is the very essence of what we call memory. This immense network is not a random collection of parts. It is a masterpiece of millions of years of evolution. We can think of the brain as a city. It has different neighborhoods, different districts with distinct tasks. Its oldest and most primitive region is the brainstem. Like a city's utility infrastructure, it silently and automatically manages vital functions like breathing, heart rate, and sleep. We almost never feel its presence, but without it, we could not live for a single second. Just above this primitive structure lies the limbic system. This is the brain's emotional center. The amygdala, which makes your heart race in a moment of danger, or the hippocampus, which allows you to remember what you had for dinner last night, are part of this system. Our most fundamental emotions, fear, anger, pleasure, love, are born here. This shared heritage with the animal kingdom is the source of the instinctual reactions that keep us alive. However, the structure that truly makes us human is the cerebral cortex, which covers all these older regions like a cloak. This layer, with its familiar wrinkled walnut-like surface, is the newest and most advanced part of the brain. If the brain is a city, the cortex is its skyscrapers, its universities, art galleries, and libraries. Our highest cognitive functions, such as thinking, planning, language, logic, morality, and creativity, take place here. The words we speak, the poems we write, the civilizations we build, they are all products of this thin layer of gray matter. These folds are a brilliant evolutionary solution to increase the surface area. A massive amount of processing power is thus packed inside our skulls. The cortex, composed of two hemispheres, is also home to a commonly misunderstood concept: the myth of the logical left brain and the creative right brain. In reality, the situation is far more complex. The two hemispheres are in constant communication via a massive bridge of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. Whether solving a math problem or creating a work of art, both sides of the brain work together in harmony. It is a magnificent orchestration that creates something far greater than the sum of its parts. But mapping these structures is only the beginning of the mystery. Knowing a building's blueprint doesn't mean you know the dreams, fears, and memories of the people who live inside. One of science's greatest challenges is understanding how this physical structure gives rise to an abstract world of the mind. Memory and consciousness. These are the brain's deepest and most formidable secrets. Memories. The collection of stories that make us who we are. The thrill of riding a bicycle for the first time, the pain of losing a loved one, the pride at a graduation ceremony. But where are these memories stored? Is there a library inside our brain containing our past experiences? The answer is both yes and no. Memories are not stored in a single location in the brain. A memory is the reactivation of a neural network that connects the different brain regions where various sensory information related to that memory is stored. For instance, when you recall a childhood birthday, your visual cortex associated with the image of the cake, your auditory cortex associated with the sounds of people's voices, your gustatory center for the flavor you tasted, and your limbic system for the happiness you felt at that moment, all become active simultaneously. Memory is less like a fixed file and more like a jigsaw puzzle that is reassembled each time. This process of reconstruction also explains why memory can be so fragile and deceptive. With each act of remembering, we slightly alter the memory. We fill in gaps, exaggerate details, or forget them. The work of renowned cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has repeatedly shown how easily false memories can be created. Our mind does not record like a video camera. It acts like a storyteller, reinterpreting the past according to the present. The key player in this mechanism is the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure hidden deep within the brain. The hippocampus is like a station master, directing short-term memories to be sent for long-term storage. Its crucial importance was tragically demonstrated by one of the most famous cases in medical history, the case of Henry Molaison. Henry, known in scientific literature as HM, suffered from severe epileptic seizures. In 1953, to stop the seizures, doctors surgically removed his hippocampus and surrounding tissues. The surgery was successful in stopping the seizures, but it had a devastating side effect. From the day of the surgery, Henry completely lost the ability to form new long-term memories. He would solve the same puzzle day after day as if for the first time, forgetting the people he met within minutes. His mind was forever stuck in the year 1953. His old memories, however, his childhood and youth, remained intact. The case of HM taught us that the brain has different memory systems and revealed the critical role of the hippocampus in consolidating new memories into lasting ones. He had become a ghost, living in his own past. Even the complexity of memory pales in comparison to the brain's greatest mystery: consciousness. That inner experience that allows you to hear these words right now, to make sense of them, to feel them. The state of being aware of your own existence. What the color red feels like, the emotion a melody evokes within you, the smell of coffee. These are subjective experiences, beyond mere electrical signals in the brain. So how is this possible? How does the electrochemical interaction of 86 billion neurons give rise to the feeling of I? This is known in philosophy as the hard problem. Science can map which parts of the brain are associated with attention, awareness, or self-awareness. For example, we can see your prefrontal cortex and parietal lobes activate when you focus on an object. But to explain why and how this activity leads to a subjective experience is on another level entirely. It is the unbridgeable gap between brain activity and conscious experience. Some theories suggest that consciousness emerges from the integration of information from different parts of the brain, much like different instruments in an orchestra come together to create a single melody. Other theories claim consciousness is a byproduct of a certain type of neural activity. For now, however, none offer a complete explanation. Consciousness remains a mystery as vast as the universe itself. We are beings who are aware, without truly knowing what awareness is. This is one of the deepest paradoxes science has ever faced. For decades, scientists viewed the brain as a fixed, hardware-like structure that changed little in adulthood. It was believed that the neural circuits formed in childhood remained largely the same throughout life. This view painted a bleak picture for patients with brain injuries. Lost functions were thought to be gone forever. But in the last few decades, this dogma has been fundamentally shaken. We have come to understand that the brain is a far more dynamic, adaptable, and flexible structure than we ever imagined. The name for this revolutionary discovery is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize and restructure itself in response to experience. Every time we learn something new, every time we acquire a new skill, we physically change the connections between the neurons in our brain. The use it or lose it principle applies directly to our brain. Neural pathways that we use frequently become stronger and more efficient, while those we neglect weaken and are eventually pruned away. We can see this in concrete examples. When you begin to learn a new language, new synaptic connections form in your brain's language centers. As you learn to play a musical instrument, the area in your motor cortex that controls your fingers expands and strengthens. Perhaps one of the most striking examples comes from a famous study on London taxi drivers. These drivers, who are required to memorize the complex and labyrinthine street map of London, were found to have a significantly larger posterior hippocampus, the area responsible for spatial memory, than the average person. Their brains had literally, physically changed to adapt to the demanding mental task of their profession. The implications of this discovery are immense. It means that our brain is not a passive recipient, but an active sculptor. Our thoughts, our actions, and even where we choose to direct our attention shape the structure of our brain, moment by moment. Neuroplasticity is also the science of hope. It is the mechanism behind how patients who have suffered a stroke or brain injury can sometimes regain lost functions, as healthy areas of the brain take over the tasks of the damaged ones. Through intensive rehabilitation and practice, the brain can literally build new pathways to repair itself. This shows us just how much power we have over our own mental and emotional well-being. It has been scientifically proven that practices like meditation and mindfulness strengthen the brain regions responsible for attention and emotional regulation. Chronic stress and negative thought patterns, on the other hand, can change our brain for the worse. In essence, our brain is a lifelong construction site, and we are both the architects and the workers of this project. With our thoughts and experiences, we are laying down the very structure of our mind, brick by brick. Our quest to understand the brain is not just an academic curiosity. It is also the foundation for technologies that will shape our future. Ideas that once belonged to the realm of science fiction are now becoming reality in laboratories. The name of this new era is neurotechnology, and one of the most exciting and at the same time most controversial fields within it is brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. Brain-computer interfaces, as the name suggests, are technologies that aim to establish a direct communication channel between the brain and an external device. At the most basic level, through sensors that read the brain's electrical activity, like EEG, it has become possible to give simple commands with the power of thought. Paralyzed patients moving a robotic arm, controlling a computer cursor, or typing just by thinking are no longer fantasies. These technologies hold the potential to give a voice and mobility back to minds trapped within locked-in bodies. This is a development that could revolutionize the field of medicine. But for some, this is just the beginning. Companies like Neuralink, pioneered by entrepreneurs such as Elon Musk, are pursuing a much more ambitious goal: to implant thousands of electrodes into the human brain to create a high-bandwidth data stream between the brain and computers. Their vision is not just to treat medical conditions, but to augment human intelligence by merging it with artificial intelligence. The possibilities are both dazzling and frightening: backing up memories to an external drive, downloading information directly to our minds from the internet, or communicating telepathically through thought. The ethical questions that accompany this technology are as profound as its promises. What will happen to the privacy of our brain data? What if our thoughts can be read and manipulated? Will a new and insurmountable social divide emerge between enhanced humans who can afford these technologies and those who cannot? On this path that could fundamentally change the definition of what it means to be human, where should we draw the line? These are no longer philosophical luxuries, but urgent challenges at our doorstep, demanding answers. The potential to treat neurological diseases, like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and depression, is immense. We could improve the lives of millions. But at the same time, we face the risk of opening Pandora's box. The brain is our most private sanctuary. Deciding how much we open the doors of this sanctuary to technology will be one of the most significant tests of the 21st century. As science advances through the mysterious folds of the brain, we realize that this 1.5-kilogram universe is at least as infinite and full of secrets waiting to be discovered as the universe we know. This journey, from the simple firing of a neuron to the dizzying complexity of consciousness, brings us back to our most fundamental question: who are we? As we try to understand this organ that created all our works of art, our scientific discoveries, our civilizations, we are actually holding up a mirror to ourselves. What we see is not a perfect machine, but a miracle forged through the trial and error of evolution, a blend of old and new structures, sometimes full of contradictions, fragile yet incredibly adaptable. The constant tension between our prefrontal cortex, the bastion of our logic, and the amygdala, the source of our most primitive fears. This is the neurological summary of the human drama. We have learned how deceptive our memory can be. We have realized that our memories are not definitive records of the past, but stories we shape according to the needs of the present. We have seen that our sense of self is not a solid rock, but a flowing river, constantly changing and evolving thanks to the flexibility of neuroplasticity. We have understood that we recreate our own mental reality every moment with our thoughts and experiences. Now we stand on the threshold of technology. As we unlock the secrets of our brain, we also gain the power to change and enhance it. This power offers unprecedented opportunities for humanity. It holds the potential to eradicate disease, to alleviate suffering, to transcend our limits. But it also places profound moral responsibilities upon us, forcing us to question the very essence of what makes us human. At the end of the journey, perhaps the most important realization is this: we are left with far more questions than answers. The nature of consciousness is still an enigma. We do not yet know the limits of the mind's potential. This silent cosmos inside our skulls remains the last and greatest frontier to be explored. The deepest irony of all may be that the very tool we use to understand the universe is the most complex object within it. And perhaps the greatest discovery of all is that in searching for the secrets of the universe, we are, in fact, exploring the universe within ourselves.